Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Korean Atlanta Mentorship. So this is your favorite cult leader speaking who's asking you for lots of money. And I want you to pay me as quickly as possible. Just kidding, or am I? Anyways, so in this video we're going to talk about behaviors with money, right? So there's certain pre-programmed behaviors that I'm actually going to tell you is keeping you down, but you probably won't believe me because you think I have an agenda, which I kind of do, right? I don't mind if you pay me a lot and as soon as possible. But the thing is, I actually don't need your money. And you probably know that from watching the other videos. But back to my point. So there's certain behaviors that actually will determine whether you're rich or whether you stay poor. And this is a lot of people have like a hard time with this because it's so ingrained in their mindset that they think that the thing that they're doing that's making them get ahead is actually keeping them back, right? So the quintessential example of this is like a savings account. Like a poor person would think, "Oh my goodness, I would love to have 3 to 6 months of savings." Whereas a rich person would be like, "Savings accounts? No way." I'm going to apply all my money into either investing into something or paying off debt, right? We talk about this a lot in the velocity banking videos, and we talk about poor people problems versus rich people problems, right? And the reason why you're staying poor is because you have that savings account where your money literally just does nothing, and then you wonder why you're getting ahead. Now, another poor person behavior that people think is actually getting them ahead is not paying people. Not paying people, or people who are unintentional, where they want to like call people and say, "Hey, I'm going to pay you money," and then like not care about completing a transaction, right? That's kind of like a big thing that keeps a lot of poor people back is they think by not spending money on other people that somehow they're going to get ahead, and then they always complain, well, I can't get the help that I need. Okay, so it happens a lot more than you think, and the reason why I talk about this is because I'm going to show you what I do when it comes to hiring people, right? Versus what the average person does. So if you take a look here at this Word document, I talked about this a long time ago, but once in a while I need like repairs done for my rental property, right? Tenant's gonna say the roof is leaking. It's like, oh, geez, and then I call the handyman, and again, there's a reason why I have over $527,000 in lines of credit, so I can confidently exude my rich people behaviorness, if that even makes sense. Okay, so handyman says, "Hey, I fixed the leak or whatever," and then 739 invoice sent. Thank you. And then me, here's the thing: I've trained myself to be like the exact opposite of most people, which is okay, great, same time. I'll check my email right now. Just paid. Thank you. Okay, and then take a look at this 742. Man, this you could just tell from the energy of this text message that this guy's super happy. Now, here's the thing, if you want to be rich, right? You have to one of the things you're going to have to do is get other people excited to do work for you. Again, it's like going to war where if you're the general, you want your soldiers, like you don't even have to pay your soldiers and they'd be ready to fight for you, right? And the easiest way to do this in normal society is actually pay people as quickly as possible and don't make a fuss, right? And another thing that's really important in business is repeated transactions. So one of the things that you see in today's society is an emphasis on monthly subscriptions. So things that used to be sold in a one-time basis, like software, is almost 100% done on a monthly subscription because those companies have realized that repeated transactions is very important. And what happens with most people is that the reason why they can't get the help that they need is A, they don't even try to pay money, or B, they over negotiate at the very beginning, right? And again, you don't want to get ripped off and you don't want to overpay, obviously, and every business model can be different. Like in real estate investing, like it's actually a requirement to underpay for the property, right? But certain things you don't want to over negotiate. So for example, let's say I have a construction job that's going to take me 30 grand normally and take any contractor 30 grand, and I'm able to get someone to work on it for 20 grand and kind of underpay them. Well, guess what's going to happen when I have the next job? Person's not going to pick up my phone call, right? Because the person's aware I screwed them over. But so many people try to do that, where it's like I'm gonna try to get this person's help. Oh, I'm not gonna try to pay them. And it's like, okay, well, that person, because they realize on the first transaction that you weren't a good customer, they're not going to pick up your phone call. And especially if they're really good at what they do, then they'll get to a point where they're just going to reject your jobs or put up, let's say, a gate, right? And so you'll notice that in certain neighborhoods, or many neighborhoods, they got security and they got gates because they want to keep most of the people out, because they realize, and this is especially true with banks, most people are trying to scam them, right? Like if you know anything about banks, the reason why they try to reject you as soon as possible is because they have statistics that 90% of the applications that they receive are fraudulent. 90%, isn't that crazy? And this is more about business credit. But my point is this, is that too many people are very unintentional with how they do business. Like they'll go up to you and say, "Oh my goodness, like I want what you have to offer," and then they'll say, "Oh yeah, I'll pay you soon," and then they'll never pay you, right? And this is why, okay, this is why most people don't get ahead in life, because they just don't try to pay other people, but they want their help and then wonder why nobody like wants to help them. I hear this all the time, and it's like, well, you could have been rich like 5 years ago if you actually paid for other people's help, right? And this is why I don't do like outbound marketing. And what I mean by outbound marketing is I don't like do cold calling or spam me with emails, just because like I only want people who are serious to talk to me. But then I've also come to realize that people who like sign up for your forum and want to talk to you, because they have the mindset of poor people, they don't try to pay you. And as a rich person on the internet, I'll say that. Um, as a rich person on the internet, you kind of feel sad with these people because you probably want to teach them, how to get ahead in life, but then that requires them to examine their own beliefs, kind of like the savings account that I talked about. Like, hey, instead of trying to not pay people, pay them as quickly as possible. Okay, pay them as quickly as possible, and then hey, you might get one of these checks one day, right? Why do I get these checks in real estate? Is because I pay other people whenever there's an issue to do work for me, and thus the money train keeps rolling. I mean, think about how much a company like McDonald's spends on outside help. Probably like in the billions, right? So maybe like we're going to spend 20 billion this year and get, 25 or 30 billion in revenue, right? And then we make that in profit. But so many people are like, I'm not going to spend any money. And it's like, well, if you have that mentality, nobody's going to help you, right? And let me just end with this, okay? So, first of all, let me actually just stare at this check. Man, it's so beautiful. And this is just from one single family house. Anyways, just me being flexing and being narcissist. But let me end with this, okay? If you, I talk about like poor people behaviors, which is not trying to spend money and trying to like over negotiate and get outside help. What happens is that if you have that mentality going into the marketplace of not trying to spend money, you're eventually going to harm people, right? So you ever take a look at this Oklahoma Real Estate Commission, oklahoma.gov. So they actually passed laws in the early 2020s about how like wholesaling is predatory, right? Predatory real estate wholesaler prohibition. Now, I'm just gonna kind of give you long story short. A lot of people got attracted to wholesaling because a lot of YouTube girls are like, "Oh, no money, no credit," and that's not really true, right? I mean, it's a strategy that happens. Like if you do it right, you're not really gonna use money and credit. But if you actually go into the mentality of not using money and credit, that means you have no skin in the game, right? And so what happened with a lot of people, probably, I don't know this for sure, but just from living life, you kind of know this is how people are. When people don't have any skin in the game and they're not like intentional in completing their transactions, you're going to leave a lot of people in the dust. So when you're dealing with like doing wholesaling, you're probably dealing with people who are in foreclosure. And so what wholesalers do is they put something under contract and they have to sell that contract to somebody else. That's all real estate wholesaling is. But probably because they didn't do it right, or they weren't intentional. They're talking to someone in foreclosure, put it under contract, and then they just don't. They just walk away because they couldn't find someone to buy their contract, right? That's essentially what a real estate wholesaler, a bad one, would do. and because too many people did that, again, these states don't know anything what's going on until too many people complain. That's how the government works, right? So, too many people probably didn't complete their, keep their word, and then that, eventually probably these sellers, would-be sellers, probably either got foreclosed on or something bad happened to them because again, they needed to sell their home and then they couldn't, and then now you have laws like this passed, right? So hopefully what I'm saying makes sense. But what I'm saying is this, okay? There's rich people way of doing things, and this is poor people way of doing things. And rich people, like I said, just like I showed you my text messages, pay people quickly because we value the work being done more than we value the money. Poor people value the money way too much, right? Way too much. And so what they do is they try to get outside help and not pay people. And just Google like how much does McDonald's pay to outside vendors? Like 30 billion. Okay, well I pay 30 billion, I'll get 40 billion back, right? Same thing here. Maybe at a smaller scale with rental real estate. Okay, I'll pay a couple hundred to fix some issues with like the rental house. Okay, I'll get 14 grand back. Right? So kind of we need to kind of think of it like that. But I mean the title of the YouTube video is kind of like a joke, but it's kind of not. Again, it's like subliminal. I mean, like, in how many ways can I go with this? But but what I'm saying is this, is that when I'm dealing with people who can help me, I want to pay them as quickly as possible, and I don't want to over negotiate, right? I don't want to over negotiate. But too many people like, well, how do I get the help? Well, if people are really good, like Tom Cruise or Robert Downey Jr., um, you're gonna have to pay that money. But why do you think like Marvel Studios um, is paying Robert Downey Jr. all that money to be Doctor Doom? Well, it's because they try to save money and not pay their stars, and now their Marvel projects are all failing, right? Same thing with getting paying people in general. Hey, if people are worth it and you're listening to them all the time, maybe you should pay them what they're asking for. Okay. And maybe it's because I'm going to be in foreclosure tomorrow and I'm making this video. No, I'm just kidding. Or am I? And am I a cult leader? No. All right. So, yeah. So the whole point of this video is just rich people behavior versus poor people behavior. If you're in poor people behavior right now, I don't blame you because I remember having that mentality as well. But eventually, I came to realize, like, dude, I gotta change my mindset, dude. I gotta pay other people. I gotta pay other people as soon as possible. If I want to keep continue receiving these checks, I really gotta keep paying other people to do their job and get them excited to work for me. And so many of you are, I whenever I talk to you, I don't hear that attitude. I don't hear it because I've heard this a lot. Well, yeah, I want to pay you, and then weeks and months goes by and nothing happens. And if you know anything about me, I actually don't need any of your money, which is why like sometimes having too much money breeds complacency, believe it or not. So, okay, well, that's it for today. So let me, before we end this video, let me just stare at this beautiful, beautiful real estate check for 10 more seconds before we end. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wow, that's a beautiful, beautiful check. No, I'm just kidding. I don't love money that much. In fact, I still drive a 2003 Camry or Corolla. I forgot what. But Toyota. It's a hand-me-down. But all right. Anyways, everybody, it's Create Atlanta Mentorship. Have a great day, and we will speak next time.